case where I'm suing the Court of Queen's Bench of Alberta and the Provincial Court of Alberta. It has been a year since I filed my lawsuit, and as of today, we still don't have a court date. This is not to mention the potential years that will be spent in appeals courts in the cases. I ask myself, what do? Over the past 2 years, I've been guided to the Independence Party. I realized I would have to enter politics again, and I would need to become the lawmaker. Knowing that there is no imminent relief from this egregious government overreach, I want to change the laws. And when we have members in government, we will. My plan, among many other things, and because there's a lot to be done, in addition to working on readying this province for the referendum on independence, I will repeal the laws that made this gong show possible. And we will pass new laws that will make it illegal for employers, self-governing bodies, educational institutions, governments from bring our rights and freedoms ever again. This process can start May 2020. Given my years of experience as a lawyer, I want to serve the people of Alberta in a role as leader to achieve this plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Art, do you have 5 minutes?
Well, I want to start with something different. How about that? Since this is our anniversary, it's the 3rd debate, I wanted to give you a gift. This is a gift on our lives, and people sometimes are curious why we do what we do. Well, here it is. You can watch it. It's free on the internet. It's called Street Advocate, the movie, and if you watch it, you will know why I do what I do. But here is a gift.
Thank you.
I am a very predictable man. If you don't believe me, my wife, she's right there. I remember growing up in Poland, of course, and the stories I've heard from my grandparents and hearing about my grandfather escaping from Siberia, walking to Poland. And I've heard the story of my grandma being arrested by the Russians, by the communists, with my great uncle, and him being a soldier lowering my grandma from the second story down on a rope, escaping to close to Warsaw, capital of Poland, and that's where they met, and here I am as a result of that. But history of my family is a history of fighting against tyranny. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I guess that's my legacy. I guess that's what God wants me to do, to stand against those wannabe tyrants, to fight the evil of the world. And the only way I know how to do it is by speaking, standing up and telling those evil people, get out. Get out from our church, get out from our restaurants, get out from our schools, get out from our legislatures. Out. Who do you are? Once my parents decided to run, to escape Poland. It took us 3 times to ask for the permission to leave our country, and we were denied. My parents had to sell everything they had so they can purchase tickets on a boat. So we escaped on a boat through Turkey to Greece. And then finally we had a meeting in a Canadian embassy, and I'll never forget that meeting. The officer said to us, Canada is the freest country on earth. Sell everything you have. We had a very successful business. We were business people. My father owned the business, my mother. I had a very successful business as well. And they said, sell everything you have, come to Canada. In Canada, no one will ever persecute you for your faith. And here I am, 16 arrests later, 100 court cases and 340 tickets. I was offered to run again. I was offered to go to the United States of America. They offered me a ranch, a house. They offered me a good salary, a big church. And I remember the last day I was speaking at a huge crowd with a lot of politicians, governors, congresspeople, senators. And I had to stand over there and they were saying, stay here, we give you everything you need, we give you money, we give you asylum, stay, stay, stay. And I said, I cannot. Canadian children are worth fighting for. You see, I have 2 children here. I'm a father, I'm a husband, my children were born here. Here is my home. I'm not going to run ever again. Never. This is not the time to run. This is not time to negotiate. This is not time to sue them even. Look what's happening. It's a never-ending story. You take them to court and never ends because they are all corrupted. They're all the same. It's like to the Nazi party and say, please stop abusing us. Stop throwing us into the concentration camps. The corrupted, evil, wicked people. And they will not listen to any reason. They want to be tyrants. We've seen this movie before. I've seen this movie before. I grew up behind the Iron Curtain, under the boots of the Soviets. But here's what I saw, and here's what I'm bringing to the table. And they said in unified voice, no more, get out. You see, that's where I get my idea from Get Out, from those people. And in 1989, they won their country back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Art. So now we enter the predetermined questions part, and we're going to start with Catherine. So this is a question in regards to, with the current corrupt federal government that seeks total control, how can Alberta seek to have a referendum on independence without the concern of the federal government sending in the military to stop this conversation from taking place?
Well, quite honestly, I think that's a fear tactic. The notion that Canada would do something like that would work completely against their interest in doing so. We have a legal means to separate. It's called the Clarity Act. And that act was born through the reference case. So the legal means sets out in the Clarity Act that we have to have a clear question and there has to be a clear majority. I don't see Ottawa, Canada fighting us. Anyway, we have an issue with our dismal military situation anyway. But in any event, I don't see them doing that. And besides which, the United States is our neighbor. Any direct threat to Alberta would be a direct threat, in my opinion, to the United States. And I suspect, although can't guarantee, that they would have a vested interest in that outcome. So there have been many other countries that have seceded. We're not the first. Many have done so peacefully, and I don't think, as peaceful Canadians, that it would ever get to that position, simply because we have a legal means to do so. And if it serves us as an indication of how things will go, another province has tried to secede before, and it was not met with military resistance. Thank you.
Art, you have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, we know tyrants do not care about the law. So how we protect ourselves? Well, first we're going to get rid of corrupted RCMP. That's the first thing that we have to do. Or reform them completely. There is always hope for everyone, and as a pastor, of course, I'm always voting repent and turn away from your wicked ways, but if you choose not to, out. Or you can say, get out. We need to create our own reserves as well. And police force, our own Alberta police. And let them come if they wish to come. We have the best boys on earth. And I agree with you, we have also friendship with the United States of America. I mean, I have powerful friends over there. If I was to become a leader, I'm telling you, I'm going to bring this friendship into the table, because Americans want partner. an equal partner. They want to do business with us, and they want to protect that business. And we will do everything in our power to give incentives to big, powerful American corporations to come back to Alberta, because Alberta can become the new Saudi Arabia of North America. I'm telling you, we have enough resources, we have enough manpower, and if we have enough political will to do this, we truly can be the most prosperous province and territory in this country. That's how you deal with the bully. You just raise your own army and you say, hey, this can go not so well for you, back off or else. And at least that's how I deal with the bully. When you come and attack me, be careful, watch for your nose, because you might end up with a bloody nose.
Catherine, do you have any comments?
Well, this might be the first time that I kind of take issue with what Pastor said. I think that we need, and it's incumbent upon us to have a peaceful solution within this movement, especially. What we as Albertans are going to undertake with the Independence Party of Alberta has to be peaceful, and we have to advocate for that, and we have to ensure that our members feel safe. We all have to feel safe. And so, mind you, when we achieve independence, I do believe, and even before that, we will investigate our own police force. I agree that our CMP needs to be gutted, eliminated, ousted, whatever we need to do to root out corruption. It has to be dealt with. But we need a peaceful solution, because we can't afford any more lives, and we don't want it to get to the point where we are faced as Albertans in that situation. And honestly, I don't think that it will get there. If we choose to have a referendum on independence, it will be respected, because that is what Canadians are all about. The legal process, as dysfunctional as it is, does have a process. And I think that we will be able to achieve this without any military intervention from the Canadian federal government.
Thank you, Catherine.
1980, a million Polish people decided that they want their rights back, which was rightfully theirs, just like our rights are our rights, and Trudeau doesn't own our rights. And the government got so scared that outlawed Solidarity Movement, and they said, no, it's illegal. It grew to 3 million within the next year. And then just a few years after, yes, the villains, and that's not what I was talking about. The aggression never comes from us. I was not talking about us being aggressive. But if attacked, what do you do? Let me ask you, men, if you're attacked in your home, would you protect your wife from being raped, or your children from being kidnapped? That's what I'm talking about. There comes a time when a man has to rise up, stand up, and say to the bully, not an inch or else. Not an inch. That's why we have to have our police force, because when you have arms, when you have protection, when you have men in uniform that actually work for you, when the bully will think twice. Do I want this fight? And I'm telling you, they do not want that fight. So I want to do it peacefully, but I want to be prepared. When they come, we will be ready to tell them no.
All right, now we have question number 2, and Archer, you'll be starting with this one. The federal government is spending money, taxpayer money, at unprecedented rates. The question is, will an independent Alberta need its own currency? What will back this dollar?
Well, I would say to you at this moment, don't bring the cart before the horse. First, we have to win our independence. But let's say we are already an independent country. There's nothing better than the gold standard. I mean, come on. The whole earth was built on gold and silver. This was a currency from the very beginning, and it's, it's a given. I mean, are we talking about paper or digital? Are we talking about an invisible numbers on your screen that they can shut off at any moment they wish? And I mean, the truck convoy have showed us what those people are capable of. But I would say to you, don't bring the cart before the horse. We have a bigger fish to fry at this moment. We need independence, and not just independence as the province. We need independence as individuals, because they're infringing right now on every aspect of our lives. I mean, in your schools, with children, with your medical, healthcare, political arena, mainstream media, propaganda machinery. Everywhere you turn, we have lost that sphere. So we have lots of things to do before we can think about borders, before we can think about our own currency. I mean, in the end, it doesn't matter. We can have American dollar, we can keep Canadian dollar, but it should be based on gold standard. I mean, that's unshakable standard that has been proven to work for thousands of years, and it will work for additional thousands of years, unless, I would say, as a pastor, unless Jesus comes back sooner.
Thank you. Well, I agree. I think a gold standard is, at least is something tangible by which we can value our money. The TIP policy currently sets out that we will have a new standard, a new currency, but I think ultimately that will be up to the members. Also, it will ultimately be up to Albertans. And let's not forget, I do agree, that is a conversation, and it needs to happen and it needs to be decided, but there are a lot of moving parts before that. Having said that, whatever monetary policy the Alberta decides to adopt, it has to be in the best interest of Albertans first. Currently, the Bank of Canada, a central bank model, takes its marching orders from the Bank of International Settlement. And regardless of whether they say they do or not, we know who are pulling the strings and they're the globalists, and they're invading absolutely everything about our lives. To make sure and have this discussion with Albertans about what it is exactly we want this to look like. I'm not in favor of digital currency per se. I think that it's even less tangible than paper money, fiat money. I don't trust it. I don't know enough about it. But what I can tell you is that I am committed to working with the people who know, the experts that know. I want to look at what the geopolitical environment is ultimately. There are lots of moving parts here. The U.S. has a midterm election in November 2022. A lot of things can change. There's a lot of things can change leading up to the referendum we have it, and after the referendum when we have it. But what I do know one thing for sure, the currency that we adopt, it will be done, and it will be done based on what Albertans want and in Albertans' best interest according to Alberta's values.
Gold, do you know that gold reserve is gone in Canada? We don't have gold reserves at all, not protected at all. It's all this virtual thing, whatever they say we have, but we don't have anything. So before we can move into that solution, I think we have to fix the corruption. We have to make sure that you, Albertans, you have enough money to put a food on your tables, and that you have enough to pay for utilities, which are absolutely insane, and that you have enough money to put your children into school for tuition and fees and all other stuff. So this is the first thing that we have to focus on. Get rid of corrupted politicians, the professional career politicians. They don't know how to work. They don't know, not able to do anything else except being pathological liars and thieves. Right now we have zero representation, zero. I don't care what party you look at, NDP, Liberal, It's like, even when I say it, I don't feel good about it. Or the traitors, UCP, we have no representation whatsoever. We have been sold and betrayed, like Judas Iscariot betrayed God himself. So this, we have to focus on cleaning the house first. Then we can tackle other issues like
Yeah, a lot of things are gonna stem from exactly where we are. And when we know more about where we are and exactly where Alberta is going to be going, I agree. It's an important conversation for sure. But we do need to root out that corruption, and we do need a new path forward for Alberta. We cannot trust the people who have been abusing us for the past 2 years and more. We cannot, and you know what, they're just the puppets. They're just, the puppet masters are way up there somewhere, and I don't even know if we fully understand who they are. We know some of the players. We know that we have a corporatocracy that has taken over the world. We know Big Pharma has taken over the world. We know where the influencers are, but we need to focus right now on rooting out the corruption in Alberta because it is rampant. And if you have any opportunity to listen to Bob Leone of our party and what he's uncovered with respect to the links of a Wellington advocacy group with the UCP, you will see that was Stephen Harper that ushered in the globalist agenda into Canada. Stephen Harper. And it's been carried out by Trudeau, and it's been by the federal Conservatives and supported by the federal NDP. This is a fact. And so there are no other options. You know, voting for the lesser of two evils is still voting for evil.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you very much. Question number 3. Currently, over 95% of Alberta's oil is shipped south to the U.S. Question: what will you do to get Alberta's oil and gas resources to new external markets, such as India, a nation that has been waiting patiently for Alberta's valuable heavy oil resource? Start.
The international market is begging for oil. We would not even have to market it. They will be coming, flying left and right and giving us top dollars because our oil, Alberta oil, is the most ethical oil on earth. Are you kidding me? Saudi Arabia is murdering people, throwing them off the rooftops, treating women like dogs, and we are buying from them, and we are supporting tyrants and dictators around the world while literally sleeping on oil right here. This is a deliberate attack to weaken us, to destroy our economy, to wipe out the middle class. That's what it is. Because those people, the people Justin Trudeau Castro or Jason Kenney, I call him the painted fox, the traitor, those types of people have an agenda. Kid yourself, have an agenda. And they want to create a society that has only two categories of people: extremely powerful, strong them. That's why Walmarts and Safeways and IKEAs and all those stores were never shut down, while your businesses were shut down and you were penalized like crazy, like a criminal, like a terrorist, left and right. And then they want slaves. You will own nothing. You will be eating crickets, and you will be extremely happy driving a bicycle in minus 35. That's what they want, and they're not kidding. They're not even hiding this. And by the way, my son reminded me to tell you that bugs and worms and crickets, there is an agenda. 80% of those bugs and crickets, they have parasites. They're killing people. Be careful next time you're picking one up.
Catherine?
It's true.
Definitely don't put one in your mouth, that's for sure. You know, we export 0.2% of our oil to India right now. This is an issue, but I do agree with Art that at the end of the day, Alberta is going to have so much magic that people are going to want to do deals with us. You know, had Canada not had the suffocating regulatory system that it does right now, 10 years ago, we could have had LNG facilities up and running. So when Germany is going to be freezing this winter, we could have exported our LNG to them. It's this sort of short-sightedness, but is it short-sightedness? This is a big issue, and this is about the global climate hoax. So, how long are we, as Albertans, as Canadians, going to pretend that net zero is a something? Tax is going to fix everything. The carbon tax is going to fix everything, and that we are destroying our world, our beautiful planet, because we drive SUVs. When are we going to say, no, that's actually not true? And in fact, there's a lot of science that contradicts your science, whatever it is, and by the way, have you ever produced that science? Just because they say so doesn't mean it is so. And so we need to level up as a society, and we need to tell these people we are not participating in this anymore. And we need our trading partners to level up as well, because they need to put pressure on these globalists, because this hoax is a hoax and it can't go on any longer.
That's right. I would say, show me the science on COVID, show me the science on climate change. I just received a few days ago a report from the north. Do you know that our ships are trapped in ice because we just had 70-year lowest temperature in 70 years? Do you know that? I remember when they were saying polar bears are dying, and this guy that works over there, a wildlife officer, he says they're not dying. There's so many of them. They're actually becoming hybrids with the grizzlies. There's so many polar bears. We have been lied to. Aren't you sick and tired of the liars already? Because I know I am. What you need a pit bull. They'll grab those hyenas I prefer to call myself a lion. You need a lion that will grab those hyenas by the throat and eat as many as possible. That's why I'm getting bigger and bigger.
I was joking last night with my husband, Pastor, about whether or not your animal pronoun was lion. That's all I got.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the
I have to say this, sorry. The tragedy, lions usually have lots of hair, but I'm losing more and more, and I'm thinking, God, that's not fair. I had to throw this, and looking at your hair.
and that's what he's got, right?
Just on the side, people expect debates that the opponents will, hit each other with the gloves and eat each other on the stage. But you see, we are on the same team. When I was, we are on the same team. When I am watching the UCP debate, and I said that yesterday, I'll say it again, my wife will say, don't say it, please. She's yelling, don't say it. But I just want to puke. They're fighting with each other like crazy. They're hating each other like crazy, and then they smile and give each other hugs. Schizophrenia at the highest levels. Aren't you tired of schizophrenia in politics?
Yeah.
I want to be real, and I know you want to be real.
I'm sick of the schizophrenia, but I'm sick, and I know you are too, about the lying. The lying and the corruption, it has to stop. We need to be a nation that lives not by lies.
Yeah.
And we've totally taken over the program. See? Look at it.
I was just going to say. Who's running the show here,
We don't need those questions.
I was going to step on them, but I wasn't.
We can survive without the questions on our own.
And we've got a lot
More questions. That's amazing. We actually have a lot of questions here. I don't even think we have to jump into these other pages. We're going to just ask you the questions from you guys. So thank you very much for asking.
That's right.
Yeah.
We've got plenty here. You guys are going to be very busy. So how can you work to make laws against the College of Physicians and Surgeons, as well as AHS, to to help the doctors who are scared to speak out against the big pharmacy and against AHS and all of those organizations, because they will lose their license if they do. How will you control this?
Well, first, I've three ways to deal with this. First of all, and I know people don't like it because they hear, well, some people don't. I like it because we need to do an independent inquiry, because we need to understand the extent of the corruption and we need to know who did what. But the second piece, and the most important piece to that, is that we have to hold them accountable, and we will hold them accountable, civilly and criminally. The other thing we need to do is we need, as I said, to change the law. We need to repeal the parts of the Public Health Act, maybe the entire thing. And we need to do that. And we can do that day one if elected a majority government. We can do that day one, and then we can implement laws that will also make it illegal for the college, and that is top on my list, because the Law Society of Alberta is no better, let me tell you. And so these institutions think that they have this immunity, this self-governing, due to the legislation, that they are self-governing. But you know what? In a majority government, we will make sure that this is corrected with laws that prohibit this sort of discrimination. In addition, we need whistleblower protection here. And we can create those laws, and not just, but the other key then, see, this is a big problem. We need a judiciary that is actually functional, that actually can be accounted on to enforce the laws. I'm in favor of having judges elected, for instance. Right now, they're appointed by the government. There needs to be a separation, and there needs to be a real mechanism of accountability. I'll tell you about a story. I don't have time now, maybe in the next 2 minutes.
Pastor?
Well, of course, whistleblower protection and electing term. They just be appointed like we have right now and be there forever, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about their bad decisions. It looks like, of course, the past 2 years has shown us that the judges are not even following the law. So here is what I'm proposing. I'm proposing to abolish the Section 1 of the Charter, that the government would not be allowed to infringe on our rights, just like United States of America has. They cannot do this legally, but here there is a clause that they can say, well, if we think we have the right because we say so, and they have the guns. And they've got the personnel willing to be the good Nazis or Gestapo forwarding their agenda. Also, we need sheriffs. I'll tell you why that's important. We need to have a new entity. Sheriffs, I call them, we can call them whatever, but sheriffs that will have teeth and the ability to go and check, because we've lost the check and balances right now. They're all forwarding the same globalistic New World Order agenda. We need sheriffs that will have teeth to watch the politicians. They'll have the teeth to watch the judges. Because right now, judges are above the law. They have total immunity. Total immunity. They can lie, they can cheat, they can manufacture stuff. I mean, I am a living witness, a victim. I am still a victim of their tyranny. And there is nothing I can do, because the government and the mainstream propaganda machinery is forwarding the same agenda. So there's actually many ways that we can work with that, and sheriffs and judges. I don't want to get the red one, so I'm done.
So now you have your 2 minutes back, Catherine.
Well, thank you. Well, just in case there's any doubt about the failings of our judicial system with respect to moving forward, I just want to share with you the Chief Justice Wagner of the Supreme Court of Canada, in response to the trucker convoy, made some very disparaging remarks about the truckers, which, in my opinion, and other lawyers' opinion across Canada, 12 in fact, we signed a letter of complaint to the Canadian Judicial Council where we said to them, look, this Chief Justice Wagner is going to hear these constitutional issues, and at that time, what he said would appear that he is biased. He's going to have to hear these constitutional issues. The Canadian Judicial Council wrote back to us saying, well, thank you, but we actually don't think this is going to be an issue, and we're dismissing the complaint. Guess who the chair of the Canadian Judicial Council is? Chief Justice Wagner. My case, I'm suing the Court of Queen's Bench of Alberta and the Provincial Court of Alberta with respect to violating my inalienable rights for requiring me to wear a mask and to show private medical health information to enter a courthouse in Calgary. I'm suing them. It's a charter challenge. This is the issue. They are the defendant. They will also be the judge in the case. We have a serious problem that needs serious answers, and as a lawyer, I understand, having worked in the judicial system for over 20 years, what these problems are. It's going to take a new government and a new approach and a new way of thinking in order to get this done, and I know that I'm going to be able to do that.
That's why we have to have the right to defend ourselves. It's so important. When citizen has that right, it sends a clear message to the government operatives or agents that something might go wrong. And that right should be given to the citizens at every corner on every issue. You should have the right to pull out your children from indoctrination facilities called public schools. You should have the right to visit your loved ones while they are dying. But of course, the 3 years have shown us that we have no rights whatsoever. We should have rights to recall those people that we have elected and they have failed us by lying to us, telling us what we want to hear. And is that not what we hear? The same story every election, blah, 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 blah. The moment those devils are elected, well, they don't do anything that they have promised us, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we have to change the system from inside out. And just like you said, it got it out completely.
So we've had numerous questions. I'm going to try and combine them into this, but basically the comment is you are both powerful candidates. You both have specific strengths. Question, what strength do you bring to the party? And the second part, what do you say to people when they ask, you have no political experience, won't that hurt you? Pastor?
Thank God that we have no political experience. Because if we did, we would be debating each other at UCP leadership, right? Well, I have to say, there is a difference. She is better looking than me. But what I bring to the table, 30 years of fighting with a corrupted government and still standing. What I bring to the table is a voice of a man that has been victimized, penalized for standing up for what's right. What I bring to the table is a roaring lion that says to the hyenas, back off or you will lose your head. What I bring to the table is history. I'm a Polish immigrant, and the history of Poland is a history of standing up and fighting with the tyrants, and we are very good at fighting. In a time of war, who do you want? A school teacher or a warrior? I am a warrior. And I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of the Trudeau Castros. I'm not afraid of the corrupted Kennys or Madus or Chandras or those snakes. I actually eat them in Banff in a restaurant, those snakes. I'm not afraid of them. That's what I bring to the table. I'm a fighter. I was always a fighter. And I always said to them, don't pick a fight with me, because I'll fight you to the death. And that's what I'm bringing to the table. When you start a fight with me, be careful. Be careful, because I'm not backing down.
Catherine?
Well, I think what I bring to the table is the same tenacity. You know, as a lawyer, suing the courts was not a good career move. In any event, I did it. And many times, I would share the stage with Pastor Art, and we would both be screaming at the top of our lungs, encouraging people to just not comply, rallying in the streets of Calgary. And I believe it's going to be important. Effectively, what we are going to be suggesting to Albertans is that we believe that it's necessary to divorce ourselves from Canada, right? I'm a divorce lawyer. I've negotiated separation agreements, albeit in a different context, for over 20 years. And I'm very actually proud of my record because I don't get to trial. You know why? Because we negotiate. We listen. But we are not doormats. And I remind my clients that all the time. We can be open, but we are not doormats. We need a person who is going to appeal to all Albertans. We need somebody who is going to be able to bridge this gap, to let people know that all Albertans are going to be included in this decision. And we need to be the voice of objectivity, and we need to be the voice of reason, and we need to not only show that power, that strength, but we also need to be the party that is going to be able to bridge relationships as well.
I am sorry, but I don't want to appeal to everyone. I want to appeal to NDP. I don't want to appeal to liberals. I don't want Kenny to like me. I don't want to appeal to everyone. I want to appeal to those who want to be free. I want to appeal to those that are sick and tired of corruption. I don't want to appeal to the corrupted judge that locked me like a criminal in prison, in solitary confinement, put me in metal cages like a dog. I don't want to appeal to him. I want to remove him. You see, I'm appealing to those that love this country. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I am appealing to you, the lovers of Alberta, the lovers of your children, the lovers of Canada, Canadians, those that love and respect our Canadian flag. That's whom I am appealing. And also, negotiation is good, but from the position of power. You have two ways to deal with a bully. You can whine and complain, like a scared little puppy, or you can bring a lion to the table. And I'm telling you, the lion changes everything.
I believe you can have and show strength without causing people to be fearful. This is what we are talking about undertaking, is a revolution, a change in the zeitgeist of Albertans and what it is, and reminding them of the values that make Albertans strong. That's what we need to do, because there are more issues than just this issue of separating from Canada, but that is the number one goal of the independence part of Alberta. In the meantime, if we don't get elected as a majority government, there will be nothing. Because you know what everybody's going to be left with? The NDP, the same old UCP, the same old. So this is a time where we need to exercise compassion, and we need to exercise understanding. And, you know, most people that have gone through the past 2 years wouldn't know a right of freedom if it was strapped to their face. So, think about that. There are a lot of people that we need to convince that this is the right thing for Alberta. And if we don't get this right, and if we don't ensure that everybody's on board with this, we don't get the clear majority. And that's the issue. So we need somebody that understands the law. We need somebody who is objective and able to reach out to people, all people, to let them know that they are all welcome here, because it's not about left and right. It's about truth, values, and ethics.
I am sorry, I have to disagree with you here. Before you can bring lawyers into the battlefield, first you have to win the war. And I want the enemy to fear us. I want them to be scared. I want Kenny to poop his pants when we get into office with a message, we shall make you accountable for what you did to us. That's when we will need you and other lawyers to go after them and do it not the mob style trial, but with the lawyers, lawfully, under the watchful eye of the law and order. We don't want chaos. We don't want mob mentality hanging those people from, the rooftops or on the lampposts. No. But first we have to win a war. How you win a war? Not by sitting down and negotiating with those that want to kill you. Ask yourself this question. If the Polish people would sit down with the Nazis and Adolf Hitler, try to negotiate with them, please don't shoot us in the back of our heads. Don't put us into the concentration camps. Please, I'm a Jew. Don't hate me. Why are you hating me? You see, there is a time for war and there is a time for peace. They have engaged in a war. And I'm not talking about firing bullets. I am all for peaceful resolution. But first we have to win. And how are you going to win? By preaching the truth, telling what's really going on, exposing the villains, and scaring them to leave us alone. We need to scare them just like they were scaring us for the past 3 years with a strong message. Back off or else. Then we bring the lawyers.
Go ahead.
All righty, now we have a question off the floor. How will you deal with the Indigenous rights, land claims, and honoring the treaties, and how will you ensure no one will be left behind in our new Alberta?
Well, this is going to be something that is going to be up to the First Nations people, right? From what I've been hearing after spending the last 8 months touring Alberta, having the conversation about independence with many, many Albertans, it's become clear that we need to engage those First Nations, and those First Nations that are not at the negotiating table. Because there's a hierarchy, just like there's a hierarchy with us. We need to meet with the actual people, the clan mothers, and we need to meet with the younger generations and families. We need to understand what it is they want. And they want a world within Alberta that respects their property rights, where we can have the discussion and be co-partners in a new future for Alberta. Then I think that is a win-win situation. And I think they are going to know us by our actions that we can be trusted. Just like we are demonstrating here today and have been demonstrating for the past 2 days, there is a different way that politics can be done. It's the federal government that has treated the First Nations with such disregard under the Indian Act. I'm not even sure whether the majority of First Nations want to continue under the treaties. This is something that we need to investigate and be very thoughtful and considerate. But I want to talk, just like this grassroots movement, we need to talk to the people most affected by the policies and the future that we are going to be suggesting for Albertans. Well,
first of all, I don't know if you know the wildlife reserves for the past 23 years. Actually, during the great hoax that we have witnessed, the great lie in the past few years, I delivered millions of dollars worth of food to 4 different reserves. That's what I do for a living. I save lives, and of course, native population is a huge part of what I do. Actually, 50% of the people from the thousands that we feed on a regular basis on the streets of Calgary are native people. So here is what they're going to have under the leadership of this party. They'll have a better deal because there will be more money, because the money will not be stolen from the Castro and other globalist devils that we have over there. They will become more prosperous. More money, of course, more benefits. Do you know that 2.5 million native people here living in Canada are living below the poverty line? Do you know that? Do you know that some native reserves do not have clean drinking water? You know that? And that's under Trudeau, the poverty at the highest level. Also, we will work with them when it comes to our energy sector. I mean, they're crucial to some of the deals because they own the land where the oil is. We got to bring them to the table, and we have to give them incentives. That is going to open a new area for us to be able to get oil and to get the gas. So, under this leadership, they're going to be more prosperous, their children are going to be taken care of, and they're going to have clean water, which is a must, I would say.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, and it perplexes me every time I do read about that. Why? And it's not just the Trudeau government, it's all the governments. Why? What is the motive? Follow the money. That's what we do. We need to expose the truth to Albertans, to the world. And this is the benefit, I think, of electing and being part of the Independence Party. And when we form a majority government, we can be the party, we can be the country that transforms this world. And you know how we transform it? With the truth. How about we start telling the truth? How about we start by exposing the lies? And how about we start by living in integrity? Somebody posted, who are we going to vote for, UCP, blah, 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 blah. And somebody said, we have to get into the politics. We have to become political. And I just said, my comment was, how about we just stop lying and stop playing games? That's what we want. And that's what I'll bring. Should you elect me as the leader of this party, it is that common sense, leveled, objective thinking that will be part of moving this party forward to a successful government being formed, a majority government forming so that we can get business done. Let's get this referendum done. Let's ask Albertans now. We can't wait any longer.
So here's a question. As the leader, how are you going to grow the independence movement to be able to beat the UCP or NDP and not split the vote? And then the second part is, will the Independence Party be fielding a full slate of candidates at next year's provincial election?
Well, I would say that's up to you. I mean, is that not why we are doing what we're doing, to give back the voice to the people, to you? So it's up to you how big this party is going to become. You know why I have chosen this party? Because it was the smallest. And you would say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, actually it does to me, because I assume that because it's so small, it's not going to be infiltrated by the traitors. And we can start brand new from the grassroots up. With fresh people, with not with professional politicians, career politicians, but with people like you and me. So it's really up to us what or how our Alberta is going to look next May 2023. Are we going to move like UK here? I want to read something to you. It's fascinating. I just received it today. Interest-free loans to be rolled out in UK to help with food bills. And I want to, I want to scream from the rooftop saying, I've told you so. I've told you what the plan was all along. They want to destroy your businesses. They want to destroy your ability to make money so you can provide for your families. Then they're going to give you a loan, and then they're going to take your house. You will own nothing, and you will be happy eating crickets and riding a bicycle in minus 35. That's what they have for us in store. So do you want it? If you want it, vote for UCP. Someone called me and I shared that a few days ago. What if people will not vote for you? Don't. This is your future. If you want a fighter, if you want a warrior, if you want someone that will give them a bloody nose, here I am. Use me. If you don't, I'm not going to be crying and tearing my clothes. Oh, poor me, I don't have a career. I'm not looking to have a career. I'm looking to clean the swamp.
Just to clarify, the question was about vote splitting, is that correct? Sure.
Yes.
Okay. This idea that we are going to split the vote is called fear porn. That's what this is about. I've already said, voting for the lesser of two evils, the lesser of two evils. These parties report to the same boss. The boss in Basel, Switzerland. We don't even know the extent to who their boss is, really. But they are all the same. We've discussed already tonight. They are all the same. And so, when you vote for Jason Kenney or Rachel Notley, it doesn't matter. You're voting for the same thing. So, we, as Albertans, have an opportunity, a unique opportunity that's only 8 months away. And that's not a lot of time. But we have this unique opportunity, and we know that because of the government tyranny, we know of the government corruption, we know this. And so the unacceptable solution is voting the same old, same old. My campaign slogan is, nothing changes if nothing changes. So this isn't about one party changing it. This is about all of you changing it and deciding what kind of life do you want to live? What kind of life do you want for your children? And when are we, as individuals, going to stand in courage and say, no?
How these political parties started? They started somewhere with probably 2-3 people sitting at the coffee table thinking, we don't like what we see. We need to change things. And they brought a few more people for perhaps a dinner, a barbecue, and then it started to grow. How did conservative parties started? Do you know the history of it? It was a French minority. It was nothing. It was just few people. And then they grew because people bought an idea. Unfortunately, I was lied to as well. And I supported the Conservative Party. I supported the snake that is eating us. And I apologize for that. But many other Canadians lied to as well, because we want to believe that those people actually have a heart and a conscience. It turned out that those people are heartless, evil, wicked individuals, only looking for their own bellies to be filled. So once they were small, just like this party, and I actually love it that it's small and it's growing. We quadrupled in 2 weeks, so it's growing. But this is just the beginning. Now it's our opportunity to turn the tables. Like I said before, 1980, Polish people had enough, took it to the streets. And they were called small French minority. And then the government outlawed solidarity movement, so they became strong, powerful, and they grew to 3 million people. And the government hammered them without mercy, arrested thousands of them, murdered their clergymen, you know? Priests were murdered by the communists during that time because they dared to speak what I'm saying right now. And then 1989 came. And the solidarity movement grew to 10 million strong, and for the first time since the invasion of the Nazis, Polish people had free and democratic election, and they won every single seat. We can do it. From a French minority, we can become the ruling party.
Catherine, the question, as you asked, if it was studying about, but it was also, how are you going to grow the independence movement?
So I've been touring around for the last 8 months speaking. I've been in houses with 3 people. I've been in town halls. I've been in auditoriums. I've been at rallies with 7,000 people. We continue to do this grassroots advocacy. You know, one of the team members, we have a really great idea, and we're going to do a slow roll all through Alberta. And we're gonna take this, and we're gonna make sure that every Albertan understands who the Alberta Independence Party is. We are going to do it one foot in front of the other. You know, this is a grassroots movement, and it's integral to this movement that we earn people's trust. And you can only earn people's trust by having, in my opinion, these face-to-face, meaningful conversations where you actually understand what it is that these families are going through. And when I talk to my clients that are facing being fired for taking an injection by force, etc., I am able to share my story with them, and they are able to share their story with me, and therefore we become one. We are no longer alone. But I'm not going to lie, we do need money, because we need to also make sure that we have an effective campaign where we can get the truth out to the people. I'm convinced that if we can do this, if we can get the truth out to the people, and the people understand the lies that have been told, that they've been living, that we've all been living, I'm convinced that they will understand that this party, this referendum, is the only solution for Alberta.
We have to stop voting for the lesser evil. We have to start voting with our conscience and with our convictions. This is not splitting the votes. This is voting for the right type of people. We have been doing this game for a very long time. It's like a revolving door. NDP, and we don't like them because, of course, they're the destroyers of Alberta. Then we vote Liberals, and then the Conservatives, and then we do the same thing all over again, and because we are afraid of NDP. We have to stop this.
I'm going to add something to that. We won't split the vote. We're going to take the vote.
There you go. I like that. You should be here.
I'm a good cheerleader. So we've got 2 questions left. So we will do our rebuttal so we don't run out of time. How do Albertans stop the WEF and the WHO from controlling what Albertans can do in the near future when they control us with their Great Reset, the Green New Deal, aka Paris Accord, UN 2030, all of those agendas?
We don't comply. It's very simple. We don't wear a mask. We take our money. You know, Western University required students to have the booster jab as a requirement to go to school this year. In my opinion, the right answer is stop funding it. Let your kids take a year off school. It's not the end of the world to complete your degree in 4 years, and besides which, who the hell wants a degree from that school anyway? You know, it's this compliance that has been the issue this entire time. It happened with the masks. That's why I formed Lawyers for Truth, and that's why we always said, do not comply, because the moment you put that slave diaper on your face, that's the moment that they know that they gotcha. And that's exactly how the vaccine rollout happened. They're like, wow, these people will believe anything. So, we don't comply. And the next part, you vote for this government. This solution, not the same old, whatever. This solution is the only solution with people of integrity willing to work together regardless of whether or not they're leader. This is the revolution in politics, and this is a revolution for Alberta, and this is what we're going to bring to party. Both of us.
Well, my friends, if you're looking for someone that will not comply, well, you're looking at him. I mean, it's hard to beat my record, I understand. I'm not going to apologize for it. 40 tickets and just a COVID ticket, still facing 4 trials, and I have been criminally charged with not wearing a muzzle. And I kept telling them, I'm not your dog. I will never wear this muzzle. You can't muzzle a lion. You can put me in a cage for a time being, but if you open it, I hope you're running fast, because I shall not comply. I'll fight you to the death. We'll have our own police force. We'll have our own judges. We'll have our own sheriffs. We will be independent. That's the key. Is that not what we are doing? We're standing here, you're sitting here, because we want independence. Independence not just from the federal corrupted government, but independence from those globalist devils. We want independence, and we will get it, but that's up to you. One man cannot do it. One woman cannot do it. We have to come together. Enough of splitting, enough of infighting, enough of division. I am sick and tired of division. Let's unite, bring every man that loves this country together, and let's build a party that not only they're going to fear, but let's build a party that will take over and fix it. We have that power, and here is a man that saw that. I saw that with my own eyes during the Solidarity movement in Poland. Berlin Wall has fallen. The Iron Curtain got, because people just like you and me came together and said, no more, we shall not comply anymore.
Did you want to say anything more than Zoom?
No, that's it. Don't comply. We don't do this anymore, people. We don't do this anymore. And we say no. And as hard as it is, and believe me, I get it. My family was affected by it. My husband lost his contract as an engineer in oil and gas during this because they refused to be tested like an animal.
Yeah.
To put that on his face. Our family moved out of the city of Calgary because I essentially spent 2 years in my house because I couldn't go anywhere because I refused to put that thing on my face. Most of my time was spent at the rallies, actually. You know, so we've all been affected, and I get that it's hard. But the thing is, when we give an inch, they see it. They either fear, they see it, and they will come in and they're going to take it. And it's only going to be up to each individual to resist and to tell your employer, go stuff it. Go stuff it. Because you know what? This community here, the blessing of COVID was that I got to meet the community focused on a different solution. The community that said, I'm not going to do this anymore. And you know what? We're standing together, and we are going to be prepared. We are going to be prepared because we are going to do this as individuals coming together, supporting one another. We have to live in a parallel society for a time, and it's already here. We're already living it. Look at, we're already living a silent World War III, and more than half of the population doesn't know it. This is about regime change in Canada. So, this is a very important question that you have. And this is a very, one basic duty that you have. And what is it? Do not comply.
That's why you need a fighter, a warrior, a general in the army to lead you into the fight. Then you can do whatever you want, but let me win this fight first, and then you can sit down at the tables and negotiate with the lawyers and other people. I had a different approach to the COVID, and my life didn't change outside of the arrests, of course. There was a little bit of a hiccup, alternation to my plans, and coffee. You know, coffee is terrible in prison. If you don't have to go there, don't. It's horrible. That was a nightmare, having a coffee there. It was like a poison. But I decided to organize rallies in the shopping malls. When they told us, oh, you cannot go to a mall without a mall, we brought hundreds of people to the mall. How I fight. When the enemy said it, I do double. When they told us you're not allowed to have a Christmas celebration, you know what I did? I invited the whole city to the biggest Christmas celebration in the country. And because of it, I got 15 COVID tickets. My record that day was over 100 police officers, 52 cars, police cars, 20 cops on bicycle, anti-terrorists, chief of police, and I ended up with 15 COVID tickets. Why? Oh, we did the unthinkable. We had Christmas carolers at the event, and we were serving them AAA steaks. That's unacceptable. If they were crickets, I think they would leave us alone. But because we support our Alberta beef industry, well, that was unacceptable. I'm still facing those tickets to this day. They're still hammering me. So that's how I fight the enemy. If the globalists will show up, come, show up, I'll show you the biggest fist that we have in Alberta. Albertans are amazing people. I remember the history of Alberta, such a fighters. Look at the first war. I don't like that 15 seconds. Look at the second war. Look at our history. We are incredible people, and this is just the beginning. We can do it. We can do better.
So we have one more question, and the reason I chose this, it's an excellent question, and it's also written in cursive, and I can actually show that I can read cursive, so I'm going to do that there. This is my first introduction to the Independence Party. Can you help me and others like me to understand why Alberta's independence is something to consider? Would we not be better to fight for Canada's unity and along with the other provinces?
Well, I said that a few days ago, and I'm going to say it again, and I know for some ears it's going to be too much, but hey, it is what it is. It's me. It's not easy to be me, believe me. So we are in Alberta like a battered woman that is being repeatedly raped by Ottawa. This husband of ours is not only raping us on a regular basis, but is stealing from us everything. And now we are left without groceries. We are left without money. How we are to feed our children. And this is happening for decades. This is nothing new. Ottawa hates us, hates everything that we stand for, everything that we love, they hate. So how you deal with that kind of a relationship? Well, you have to become stronger, you have to become more powerful, and you have to say to the villain, to the bully, be careful, I'm stronger now, I have took some karate lessons, and if you raise your hand against me again, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what I have become. That's what Alberta needs. We need independence to become stronger, more powerful, and if needs be, to show them that we're not kidding. This is not the game. I mean, is your life and the life of your children some kind of a game? Because for me, it's not. That's why I was willing to go to prison. That's why I was willing to get those crazy tickets, and I'm still fighting them in a court, because for me, this is not the game. This is life and death. I'm not fighting just because I got nothing better to do. I'm fighting for the future of my children. And this husband of ours, this retarded schizophrenic bully, has to get few blows into his nose. And we can do this, and we can do it legally, and we can do it together. It's up to us what kind of a relationship you want to have. 15 seconds, stop me, sorry.
Well, you know, if the corruption and the tyranny isn't going to convince you, governments in Alberta have been trying to open up the Constitution for decades. All right? The Reform Party, we want in, couldn't make any inroads to change the position for Alberta. Okay? So we are literally doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. The Supreme Court of Canada, our electoral representation, first of all, does not permit us to get a fair deal with Ottawa. I believe it's 6 or 7 of the provinces in Canada are going to have to vote in favor of Alberta leaving the country. We give the rest of Canada a lot of money. How many people think that they're going to say, yeah, sure, Alberta, you can go on your own. You can do what you want to do, right? The Supreme Court of Canada, it brags. Chief Justice not only hates the truckers, but he brags about how progressive the Supreme Court of Canada is. In fact, it's the most progressive in the world. So, even if it gets to the Supreme Court of Canada, we have an issue because we have a progressive Supreme Court of Canada. But because they've inverted all the language, progressive doesn't mean move forward, that's good, everything's going to be okay, the rule of law is going to be upheld. That's not what that means. It means that you need to give us your pronoun before you start your opening argument. That's what that means. Thank you.
Well, not only that, take those wicked evil globalists to court, it takes forever. It takes 10 years to see the Supreme Court. Are you kidding? By that time, we're going to be dead eating crickets. We don't have time to sit and negotiating with them. We don't have time to file another lawsuit and hoping that this time miracle will happen. We're going to get a good judge. Well, I say to the crooked judges, if you want to go to hell, go to hell. We're taking our independence back. We are going to stand up on our own. And if you, Mr. Trudeau, don't want to work with us, don't want to cooperate with us, if you don't want to have a real, meaningful partnership with us, well, then we will go on our own. If you don't value your wife, if you don't value your husband, what are you to do? I hate divorce. God hates divorce. That's the last solution, result. But sometimes you have to have that at the table. You have to say, we shall divorce you if you don't stop doing this to us. We will be careful.
Yeah, the time for that sort of negotiation is done. Like this idea that Danielle Smith is floating around with the Sovereignty Act, right? This, she understands that this movement is powerful. So, they come up with their buzzwords called the Sovereignty Act, which is unconstitutional on its face, and it's going to fall right flat on its face. It's going nowhere. It's a nothing burger. And everybody, and they're trying to make this about independence, because you know why? For them, even though the party doesn't support independence whatsoever, they're very clear about that. They don't support it, but they're in favor of it. I don't understand it. The Sovereignty Act is a marketing campaign, people.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a marketing campaign designed to deceive everybody. It is not going to work. And in fact, Justin Trudeau, the federal government doesn't care about whether or not Danielle Smith says, we're not going to pay the carbon tax. Let's use that for an example. The carbon tax has been determined to be federally in federal jurisdiction. I don't agree with that. That's what the woke Supreme Court has said. Okay, so they've said that. So the Sovereignty Act isn't going to get rid of the carbon tax because it's in federal jurisdiction. So no matter how much you say, I'm not going to pay the carbon tax, they're going to come and they're going to inflict enforcement proceedings on you and your business anyway. So what is being sold here? It's smoke and mirrors. That's all it is. It's smoke and mirrors. And it's designed to trick you into thinking that they're behind this. That's what it is. It's a trick. And so, but we know exactly what they're doing. And because we know, we have to do something better. When we know better, we do better. And this is the only solution.
Don't kid yourself, they are watching us. Do you know they already tried, the UCP government already tried to bribe me with some fancy job and good money not to run in the office? I mean, they're so pathetic. They're looking at us and they fear us. They already started to fear us because they know there's lots of people like us. They're sick and tired of the professional politicians, career politicians that are raping us, robbing us at every corner. And not only that, they want to do the same thing to your children. We have to rise up at some time and say, enough is enough. Let's stand up.
Well, yeah, in fact, one of the main reasons, the only reason actually, is our children. I have a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old at home. I do not want my daughter, when she gets to turn 18, to go to any of those woke institutions. I do not want that. I want a better world for our children, all of our children. I'm terrified for them. I do not want them to live in a world where they are going to be forcibly jabbed, where they have to scan their arm to go see a concert, where they grow up in a world where their teachers tell them that men can be women and women can be men. That is not the role of the school. Any school, in my opinion. We have a really good shot, and we can't waste it. We absolutely cannot waste this opportunity that we have. It's almost like a gift from God. The stars are aligning. And you know what's going to make it even more decisive for people? When they're lining up for food, when they're deciding whether or not they can heat their home, when they're deciding whether or not they're going to be able to afford their house payment. That's what's coming. This is what they're telling us. You know, believe these people. This is what they've told us. They want to depopulate the world. They are set on making that happen. Choose wisely. Choose very wisely.
Alrighty, now we will give each candidate 5 minutes for closing remarks. And
We'll start with Catherine.
okay.
5 minutes.
Well, I've prepared my closing remarks today, so here we go. And we've already covered a lot of it. But, you know, we look at the people. The people who have a plan for the digital currency and the digital ID, for reductions in nitrogen, who supported locking us up, forcing us to wear masks, all of that stuff. They are running for re-election. Contemplate that. The last time Alberta had enough, the NDP swept the government. An NDP majority government in Alberta. Contemplate that. I ask you, what were the grievous circumstances then? Has anything changed or has it gotten worse? It's gotten worse. What my years of research have uncovered is that both the NDP and the UCP have the same master. We've already talked about this. They both agree with net zero digital ID. They supported the lockdown, support the woke agenda of changing pronoun campaign under the guise of equity and inclusivity. They've made this happen without saying anything. Both of them supported the rollout of the vaccine. Both of them continue to support the booster campaign. In November 2021, 10 UCP MLAs met with doctors Hodkinson, Modry, Malone, and Alexander. If you don't know who those doctors are, I suggest you look them up. Actually, we have Dr. Hodkinson here today. These doctors told these MLAs to stop the vaccine. especially as it related to children. Shane Getson agreed that he was going to table their evidence, this information in the legislature. This happened November 2021. January, I put up with the group. Where is it? Has it been tabled? It didn't get tabled. This never happened. I've said this before, that the only difference between CP and the NDP is that the NDP is transparent about the devastation they're going to bring to you. I'm greatly encouraged, however, by this history. Albertans have had enough and are looking for an answer, and they've been looking for a while. The Independence Party is the answer. And if we create the opportunity to reach every Albertan with this information, with the truth, I do believe that once Albertans learn this about this government, about their governments, they will welcome the Independence Party with open arms. I believe that based on the NDP sweep, it is very possible for the Independence Party of Alberta to also sweep the UCP, NDP, World Economic Forum, and the World Health Organization out of Edmonton. The leader of the Independence Party is one person, though, and we have one vote. And I believe we should have more of a spokesperson, and that it's expected to work alongside all of you and all of Albertans. And the true power of our party will happen when all of our members unite as individuals, when we work together to change our future. And if you've been watching this debate thus far, I never really understood that people like us, opponents, could hug each other. But this is what we are about. This is about integrity, and this is about living according to the values and creating a world where we recognize the principles of the supremacy of God and the rule of law. This is why I'm convinced that no matter what the outcome is, Artur and I will continue to be able to work together to achieve our one singular goal of exposing the corruption and changing politics in Alberta forever. Indeed, the debate has been shifted to you, where this has always belonged. Because you know what? We're kind of saying the same thing. But that's okay. I want this job. And if you followed me for the last 2 years, you will know that I'm the person that will take action. And I live in the solution. And if you agree with my approach as laid out here today, please vote for me as leader of the Independence Party of Alberta, and let's make Alberta's future prosperous and free. Thank you.
Pastor Hart, you have 5 minutes.
Well, we need the lawyers, but first we have to win the war. So we can sit down and have a table, because they're stealing our tables away. So we won't even have a place for negotiation. There are certain things that I want to hammer before we let you go today. We need to set the political prisoners free. We have to focus as the party, even right now. And I'm telling you, being in prison and not knowing if you're going to come out of it alive is no fun. So my heart bleeds for those men that are still imprisoned by tyrannical, evil Kenya's government. So we need, even now, we need to start advocating for those people that are still hurting, those people that are still being subjected to this tyranny. Of course, do not comply. If they are telling you to do something which is against the law, just say, we can use Pastor Artur Pawlowski's slogan, get out. Malicious persecution has to end. Those people have been doing this to me for a very long time, one trial after another, one stupid little thing after another. When I was in prison, they charged me multiple times with other nonsense things, like criminally not wearing a muzzle, like inciting people to come to church, or officiating in illegal gathering, or participating in illegal gathering. That's what those people do. They will pile up stuff on you when you're vulnerable, when you have no means to defend yourself. That's why we need lawyers. Lawyers and God, of course, and people protesting and fighting and exposing tyranny took me out of prison. And I believe my life was saved because of it. Kangaroo courts got to go. All this nonsense of we're having a court for you, the human rights, so-called Human Rights Commission, of course, I call it kangaroo courts. Those are lying organizations that have no interest in defending our rights whatsoever. Jason Kenney should have stepped down, this tyrant. I remember people called me and said, wow, he's stepping down, he's resigning. And I said, no, he's not. He's just playing a game like those devils always do. He is telling you that he is doing something, but he's aligning himself with a nice position, replacing himself with another snake, Travis Taves. There was, of course, in a Sky Palace, hypocrisy, sipping whiskey while we were in prison for having a church service. Medical choice, it's a must, we have to remember that. No grooming children. If an adult man dressed as a woman wants to hang around with my children, he has no good intentions. He's a pervert, he's a pedophile, and I want him out. I don't want him next to my children. No scanning to go to a concert or restaurant. Can you imagine? They want to implement a digital ID. Why? So they can control everything you do. Everything you do. Fire the leadership of AHS. The top people, we understand we cannot fire them all. It would be a great idea. But no, it's okay. You can say it. We're friendly. Still, thank God, after the third debate. Fire the leadership of AHS. The top people should go and they should be charged for what they have done to us. Hire people based on merits, not because they know, a friend of a friend, a cousin of a cousin in the government. And unity, I agree with you 100%. We had a conversation after conversation through, those 3 years of insanity, and I have been like a broken record. We cannot allow division. Don't like me. I don't care. This is not a popularity contest. We're fighting for our lives. We're fighting for our children. This is not the time for division. This is the time to unite. Let's unite and let's take back what's rightfully belongs to us.
Ladies and gentlemen, Catherine Kowalczyk and Arthur Pawlowski.